Christopher, it's season 5, episode 32, and I feel like we should actually call it season 5, episode 33, because the time you and I just spent talking on the on-ramp was equivalent to a podcast episode.
Holy crap. That's long.
Yeah, so if it's okay with you, maybe we punch out in about 30 minutes.
Yeah, no, that's good.
I've got a full day ahead of me.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, it's good and it's bad. I was looking at my calendar yesterday and I was like, uh-oh, I'm busy. And I don't like that. I don't like that. I'm looking at my calendar and I see all these days, these evenings just kind of they're chopped off because something's got to happen that day.
Yeah.
Got to be somewhere. Somebody's got to come look at the house for something. I don't like it, but what are you going to do? Life goes on, right?
You're going to do that stuff. That's what you're going to do.
I know, but
get that list done. But I get the complications that it causes. I get it.
Like, because I have a busy weekend and it's Mother's Day tomorrow. Yesterday I came home from work and I did not want to give my energy to working in the backyard on the yard. That's not where I wanted to. I started on Thursday night and then I was Friday. Well, okay, so Thursday I'm in the backyard and I'm doing some stuff and I'm like, uh-oh, this is going to take a few more hours. So normally my son and I volunteer on Fridays. Friday evenings is when we want to volunteer, but I'm like, I can't do it because of the way the weekend looks. I can't volunteer. I can't give up 4 hours on Friday night when I know this yard stuff has to get done. So I'm like, okay, not volunteering tomorrow. So I get home from work, like, I really don't want to do this yard work, but it has to happen. And I know that on Friday nights my family likes to order out or go to a restaurant. And so as I'm getting my outdoor clothes on and grabbing the tools I need to work, I look at the boys and I'm like, you guys are going to have to communicate with mom. I'm not leaving to go get dinner. I don't care what we eat. It was hilarious. They're looking at me like, what's your problem? And I'm like, I have no problem. I'm going to be outside in the backyard cutting down bushes and stuff, and it's going to upset me. I kind of already, which is weird because I was able to switch that, but I'm like, it's going to upset me. It generally does. So I'm like, so knowing that my mood could swing into a negative way, don't come and ask me to go get dinner. It's not happening. I'm not coming out of the backyard until I'm done. So you guys negotiate with your mother. And then I kind of smile and I'm like, your mom's going to get what she wants. So you can make suggestions if she asks or whatever. And your mom could come home with no dinner. Like, mom could come home and say, I'm exhausted. And then when I come in from working outside, then I guess it's a grilled cheese and soup kind of night, or what's in the freezer that I can bake or whatever. Like, I'm not going anywhere. So I look at them, I'm like, do you guys understand? They're like, yeah, we understand. I'm like, okay, awesome. Then we're all good. So I go in the backyard, start working. My son comes out, he goes, is shawarma okay? I'm like, I have no problem with that. Thank you for well, what do you want on it? I'm just like, I don't want to talk about it. Whatever your mother brings home, I'll eat. So if she brings home dinner for me, I will eat whatever she brings. I am working. They're like, okay, Dad. So then I ended up finishing earlier than I thought, which was really nice. I didn't anticipate having any time to myself. So I finish, I come in, I'm covered in stuff. Backyard, yeah. And I wore a long sleeve shirt because the day before I wore a short sleeve shirt, and these grasses we have that grow really long, they demolish skin. Like, I've got a cut on my finger, I've got scrapes all over me because as I'm working, I'm wearing gloves and I'm just working. I'm like, get it done, piece bit by bit. This is what I'm thinking. I'm literally like, bit by bit by bit, it'll get done. So I come in, I'm like, I gotta go shower.
Mhm.
I gotta change. They're like, okay. I'm like, if your mom comes home, make sure you go help her. Anyway, so I come out of the shower. She's still not home. She gets home. We eat dinner. I watch a little bit of hockey, and then move on with my life. But all that to say, all that to say is that I started on Thursday evening in the backyard. I finally finished it yesterday. So now I
Mhm.
can continue with my weekend. But if I did not place that stuff on my open time on Thursday and Friday, I don't know when I'd be able to get it done because this weekend's busy. Um, and again, it's not busy like I'm not wearing the badge of busy on like the
Mm, the
badge of honor,
bar.
the bar.
The board. No, what was that?
It was a BHAR, so badge
Busy as hell. No,
bad
badge of
it had
busyness.
badge of
Bob.
honor, business. I
Yeah,
don't know.
yeah. We
Busy
gotta we'll
badge of
check in
honor.
with let's check in with marketing after that.
Well, we won't even have to do that the minute I shut my mouth. I'll just go to my Instagram account because I posted it there. But anyway,
Beauty.
I do not want to be busy like that, but
Mm,
things have to get done,
yeah.
right? Or they don't get done, and then it's like it's just not good. So I was getting things done. Tell us about okay, so you have started your play. So
Yep.
tell us about you, Chris, the thespian.
Thespian. Thespian.
Tell us about your
Um,
experience of being in a play.
so I'll do just because you know me, I like to put in those do a plug, right? I'll definitely say if anybody's curious about checking out, some of my process, I've posted up some TikToks. Um, they're short 5 7 minute kind of reflective pieces on sort of what's how I've built what I'm doing, which I don't know, maybe that's interesting. Um, it's what's been fascinating to me has been I've gone back and I've listened to a couple of those episodes just to kind of track back to the beginning because it's it was March when we started this process and s- there's a lot of stuff that I think I I'm going to quote the play. Here it comes. I'm going to quote the play. At one point in the play, I freak out and I ask the other character, what else have I forgotten? And I sort of recount this list of things that I've forgotten. So my character's experience with being a shut-in and staying in their store for so long, I've disassociated, I've disconnected from society, and in doing so, also disconnected from myself. Like there's things that I feel should be important, things that I should remember that are just gone. And one of the things I identify is, I know I have a memory. The character has a memory of being in some cafe and realizing I was in love with somebody. So a very important memory that this character has, but I've forgotten the name of the cafe, and that becomes a problem for me because it 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 well, a couple things from the character's point of view. It shows the beginning of memory loss. It shows the process. The beginning is stressful. What's more stressful to the character, it's the process of memory loss. That if I could forget something so important, I could forget anything else that's important. And then the abstract, anxiety inducing, what other important things do I no longer remember? So there's this whole forgetting element to it. And there's a funny for me, there's been a sort of a funny necessity to forgetting though within this play because part of it is you sort of learn the script and then you have to start to forget that you've learned the script so that you can just be the character because you don't get to carry the script with you all the time. And anybody that's done performance in any sort of measure, even music, anything that you would do live, improvisation, comedy, let's say theater, spoken word, I, I'm imagining that many performers are in a very similar space of the risk of forgetting. Like there's a real risk because there's forgetting and then there's forgetting because you don't want to drop a line, you don't want to drop a note, you don't want to forget a word in your poem, but to be bound to that script in a way that you can only deliver it when it's in your hand is not the same kind of performance as being able just to move around the space and perform. So for me, what I'm digging right now is just the beginning, and it's I don't know how wide or narrow this could be, but I feel like I'm just in the beginning of the sweet spot of being able to not have to intentionally remember the script, and that I can react trusting that the work that has created this character will carry me through the performance. Now, someone in the audience will be like, "Yeah, forget it. I saw the performance last night, Clough. You're not carrying a character anywhere." That's entirely possible. That happens. That's fine. It's not fine, but it happens. But I guess the thing is, it's not fine, but I have to be fine with that because we have 5 performances left. Like that's it. 97% of the work was in rehearsal. We performed the play for the public, the paying public 7 times. So yeah, it's digging it. It's a fascinating. You ever have you been in a school lately, Chids?
Yes.
You ever done stairs? You ever done any stairs recently in a school, Chids?
Yes.
You ever get to the top of the stairs, Chids, and you think to yourself, "Oh, that was a that was kind of tough doing those stairs." You hustle up it or whatever, and you get this sudden litmus. My experience at my school, you get this sudden realization, like, "Whew." I think I remember a time where I could sort of get up those stairs. Like I still got up. I'm still getting up the stairs, but I remember a time where I could just keep on running right to my classroom. Get going right into the classroom. So that's what a little bit of this performance has done. These moments of pause that um I'm not the performer. I'm not the performer that's challenging. I'm not my I'm not 30 years younger as a performer. I said to there's a sword fight, play sword fight in the play. It's very active. There's a lot of really like the energy is very it's just projecting this sort of like playful energy, go, 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 go. And the chunk of the scene is maybe 5 minutes long. At the end of the piece, I'm on the floor, like, no, kind of, like I'm about to be taken out with the final blow, which makes sense. But I'm also sitting there as Chris, like, whew, I get to stop for a moment. So, it's that awareness that, yeah, it's that awareness that the physicality of me playing this role um has been really cool because I'm not this ain't me performing like back in 1996, I think the last time that I was on stage. So,
Two things.
yeah.
Number one, I was 1996 was my first year out of high school. Number two, you've been to St. John's, so you know the stairs that
Oh, yeah,
I
yeah,
used to
that's
have
right.
to deal with every day.
Yep.
Um, I was at John's yesterday, and yeah, it's like those stairs. They just freaking stairs everywhere. It's
So,
like you turn right, you turn left. There's stairs. There's no way around.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, I get it. Um, and in a weird way, I missed those stairs because those stairs accounted for many of my steps and movement before I was out of that building. So
Right.
crazy. And every time I'm there, I'm like, this is insane to have this many stairs, like in a school. But anyway, I appreciate you sharing that about about the play, the work you're doing. Um, I don't even know. I don't even know where to go with that. It's. I'm really interested in how you might feel after you're done your seventh performance, your seventh live performance.
Mhm.
You know,
Me too.
all of a sudden you're going to have a ton of new time to play with because you've been spending like how many you don't know how many so you and I message each other back and forth and we use video to chat. You don't know
Mhm.
how many video messages I've either received from you on your drive to the theater or on your drive home from the theater. Like to update me on your day or what just happened to theater or whatever. You're going to have this huge chunk of time that's going to feel maybe like, I don't know how it's going to feel. I know when I get into a project and I spend a lot of time on it, and then all of a sudden the project's finished, and then it's like it just looks like this wide open road in front of you. I mean, it that time will get eaten up by something.
Mhm.
Just interesting to see how that plays out, you know?
It's funny. So we were talking with the director. I don't know when it was. I think it was our last. We were talking with the director on our last dress rehearsal night, and just it sort of came up like director's name is Sergio Calderon. Um, asked Sergio like, "Are you going to be here every night?" I think it was it's because on the last dress rehearsal night we got notes, and at some point, I mean, I can show. There's notes that we do verbally, and then he has a process for sharing notes afterwards. It's in the PDF. The notes were always about 5 pages, but it was the notes for the whole, like it was notes that he took for the whole play. And then there'd be stuff sometimes in there for stage manager. It'd be coded stage manager, SM or lighting or costume. And then it would be my name, or it would say Chris, or it would say Luke, the other actor, if it was something specific for us. And then there's color coding. So the first time a note pops up, it's white. It's just like just on typed paper. If the note gets embedded, as in he could see that it was something that we were working on, wasn't finalized, but it was something we're trying to integrate the note, he would highlight it in green. If the note wasn't taken, then it would move to yellow. And then if it still wasn't being worked on, it would move to red. So just that's the color coding of, the homework, right? That's the
Mhm.
homework. That's the assessment. That's the feedback. I really appreciate it because in my teaching, in my day-to-day teaching, I use color coding a lot. A lot of my editing, when I'm sort of giving students feedback on their writing, it's color coded. So for example, I might highlight a sentence or a word in green, and my kids know green means tell me more. If I highlight it in blue, I tell them that's a high five. I say that's a great piece of writing. Do nothing with that for right now. That's excellent. And I have other colors as well. And I've used those consistently for the last few years for feedback. So I appreciate him using the color coding. It's a system that I'm familiar with. So it was during the notes process that we asked him, we're like, okay, so are you going to be at every performance? He's like, no, I'm not going to be there. He goes, I'm already starting to work on my next project.
Oh,
And that's a really fascinating what you just did right now. Oh, okay. So, and he had said right from the beginning, he said, performance, when we get to performance, he said, my job is done. My job is done. He said, I hand the play over to you two and Julie and the set crew. And I'm imagining that that's in as much just a practical thing to do as it is a wellness thing. Like, he needs to step away and, like you just said, what is he going to use his time for? For him, he said, I'm reviewing several different scripts. I think I heard him talking that he may be considering doing a musical next. He's not sure. He said, but now I'm going to start working on that. And what made it kind of funny, so I asked him, so on opening night, we asked, are you going to be there on Friday? He's like, no, I'm not going to be there for performance. I don't think he was. But I remember how I said I left through the front lobby.
mhm.
He was out in the front lobby. So technically he wasn't at the performance, but I suspect he came by at the end, probably just to check in. So that experience, or this current experience, I'm going to put that up against something you and I have talked about in the past when it comes to podcasting. So in the past, I don't know if we call it the 3 hour factor, the 7 hour factor, but it had to do with my experience very much. So I think in a little bit of yours that initially when we started podcasting, it was a 7 to 10 hour endeavor between setting up the interview, having the conversation, both, I think, of us making it work within our lives because we were dads and teachers and individuals, other stuff to do. And at some point, whatever took 7 to 10 hours, you could then knock off in 2 to 3. Like, you just got better at it. You built in efficiencies. But I also remember talking with you about, like, okay, so what am I now? How am I making use of those extra 6 hours,
Mhm.
extra 4 hours? I said, that's real time where something happened. Am I using it intentionally? So I love that you're asking this question, which is a little bit of a what's next. Um, because when I knocked my time down on my podcast, it didn't occur to me that I didn't say to myself, "Oh, now I can do more podcasting. So now I can get 2 podcasts done." I was just more questioning. It was more in the space of living a good life. Did I fill that time with something as valuable, seemingly valuable, as doing the podcast editing, which felt really important to me at the time? So am I still doing something rich, satisfying, growth-minded, positive risk? So that's where I'm at thinking forward in this particular process. Um, I don't know if I ever want to act again. That has nothing to do with how much I enjoy it right now. It's because I haven't experienced or started to think about another performance. Like, I'm not in Sergio's position where he's like, "Yeah, I got to start mapping out my next play that I'm going to do." I'm not in that space. I don't have access. I don't have access to that thinking. I just don't have access to it. So, um, dude, I don't know what I'm going to do because I think maybe the falsehood here is thinking that it's actually extra time, right? If I
Yeah.
think of it as extra, then I don't know. Am I respecting my own time? Because you don't earn any more hours. You just sort of choose what you're going to do each day with them.
Mhm.
So I guess the thing is, excuse me, it's not like planning for pre-retirement. I guess an opportunity could present itself. I told you flat out, a big part of this was getting the evidence as to whether or not I could perform still on
Mhm.
stage. And it's not like it's not as much of a feather in a cap as it is, do I still have access to those skills that I seeded 30 years ago? Which, maybe that could say, well, that's talent. Like, if it's still there, I would say maybe I have a talent for acting, maybe. Because if it's right there for you, you can shine it up, kind of find it again. I didn't have to relearn the basics in order to do this. Um, and I think I've responsibly delivered what I was asked to deliver, a fully formed character in a way that, is stage ready. So I think I was successful there. Um, so yeah, moving forward to the next dude, I don't know. I don't know what's going to present to me. Here's where I'm hopeful. I am looking forward to using some of that time hanging with my fam because that was one of the costs. It did work. It did work because it was a period of time where I could go at night to rehearsal and we're good there. Um, uh, I'm looking forward to the moments in the future. I'm looking forward to being in the future and being able to return to this process in a spontaneous way. As in, remember when I did that play? And we have those really cool nostalgic moments that, the frustrating ones is when those are like you're talking about your best lived years when you're in like 10 years old because you can never ever, and if you haven't tried it again and again and again, you're never going back to that moment in any way, shape, or form. I'm really happy that there's sort of 30 years between my two acting experiences because I feel like I've created a new chapter that sort of like I can go back to with a little bit more credibility than saying, "Oh yeah, I was in a really funny play in 1995." Right? And I like that new people have sort of discovered this part about me because there's people that have no idea that I took drama at university.
Mhm.
No idea. So those are all my feels. Those are all my feels around that. Thanks for asking about it. Who knows where I go next, dude? Who knows?
It's a really big part of your life right now,
Yep.
right? It's like basically it's work, family, play. at the
Yeah.
moment. So it's just interesting to me that it's going to go back to work and family. Um, well, it's not going to go back. It's just the play filters out, and then you're right. It's not extra time either. It's time. So I suspect you'll be with your family for those hours. Um, and who knows, maybe something pops up. Um, and you're like, yeah, I think I'd like to play a role in that show or whatever. You just have to wait and see, I guess. Right? Now, did you enjoy working with this director? Like, did you enjoy or are you enjoying the group of people you're current that are leading you down this path?
Yeah. I was often I've part of how I think about all the professional development that I've had as a teacher, and I think about what was what is necessary for me to offer trust to someone that's going to teach me a thing.
Hmm.
And this, I think, has become I've become more close-minded to this as I've gotten older, and I felt like I'm going to say maybe the burden of responsibility to have to just do things as an adult, right? Pay a bill, um, go to parent teacher night. Like these are just all sort of like the facts of life of growing up. And
Hmm.
I think that in that process, I've become more closed off to suggestions that I should do something differently because my brain goes, but I just did it. So we're good, right? Because I know that there's going to be another thing put on my desk that I have to do. Kind of like being a teacher in a lot of ways. So that closed mindedness or that initial defense to taking in feedback, I think this has really helped me to open myself back up to feedback, because we got a lot of feedback, and also because this was a um, I don't know any other. I don't have this to compare to anything, but anyone that has sort of talked about the show and the speed with which we mounted it, like the timeline is really tight. Um, Sergio, I think, said that he knew that the play was a go maybe a week before they were casting. So he was familiar with the play, but like, because what had happened was this play that I'm in was supposed to be the end of the season play, which means further into June. But just because of complications with COVID and then actor complications, they had to flip the two plays. So
Hmm.
ours was supposed to be the season ender, and there was supposed to be
Hmm.
another one right now, and that got flipped at the last moment. So then it was like, do you think you can get this play up in 2 months? Like, okay, let's go for it. They put out the casting call, and then a week later, myself and Luke are in the roles starting to learn. So it's been said a couple times that that's really fast to get a play up. So in order to get there, I'm imagining this after the fact, I had to have opened myself up to take in the information to be able to get to show ready because otherwise I'd still be kind of mechanically moving around the stage. Like I allowed myself to be sculpted by the feedback. I allowed myself to be adjusted. I allowed myself to consider the what if that somebody else was giving me as easily as I accepted my own what if. But then allowing somebody else, the viewer, ostensibly, so Sergio, the viewer, to say, okay, I can understand why you would have done that, but it didn't work from out here. And he often would say as storytellers. So he didn't often talk to us as in being actors. He spoke to us as storytellers, which really does pivot your perspective by being on stage. Because one of the things that I've come to understand about storytelling as opposed to acting, acting is just the functional, for me, the functional um, moment of being able to share back. It's acting is cause and effect. Tell me the line. Tell me the line I have to say. I give the line back to you. It's rote in very much, right? Storytelling changes things. Storytelling suggests community, connection, interactivity, responsiveness, emotional authenticity. You know, I think it also is being present. It's awareness. it's trust, it's vulnerability. There's so many more that you're sort of the filters become so much more permeable. And I think as soon as he started to talk to us as being storytellers, that changed it changed how my perception of self on stage. And I could no longer afford to just say, this is how I'm going to do it because that feels safe. It raises the stakes to say, I know how I would like to do it, but I got to know that by what's happening in front of me, not by the stage directions in the book. So I'll give you a for instance, 2 nights so far, cell phones have gone off.
Mm.
It's a very modern conundrum. I mean, in the past, it would have been people talking to each other, I'm sure, or talking to the actors. Hey, shut up on stage, or whatever it is, right? The heckling. Heckling is very different now. I mean, because heckling can be accidental, as if somebody forgot to turn off their mobile phone.
Is there an announcement at the beginning of the show to say, please turn off your phones? I'm
Mhm.
just wondering
Yeah,
because
it is.
I don't know about the community play. Like they
Yeah, there's
operate the same as they would
yeah,
anywhere else.
yeah.
Okay.
Please, if possible, turn off your phone. If it's not possible, please put it on mute. So, 2 nights in a row in sort of two different spaces, a mobile phone went off. So you just, like I said, that you have to take that in to a degree. You have to take that in. You have to deal with the fact that you can't deal with the fact and then deal with that fact too. it's it's whack. But
So in I
that's
remember you told me about the first time
it
happened
happened
close to
again.
the
Yeah,
end.
it happened again last night.
At
Not in
near
the
the
same.
end, like when did it happen and were you able was it less because it happened already once. When it happened the
Mhm.
second time, were you just like your brain's like, "Oh, there's a phone," but you just keep doing your thing?
Yeah. So the first on opening night when it happened in a moment of it was in the last minute and a half of the play. So, and in the last minute of the and a half of the play, there's some really I'm feeling some really intense feels as the character.
Mhm,
We know how we're closing the play, so you have this slight sense of where you need to be emotionally so that the audience can close the story well. So there's a really cool synergy there where my hope is that we're all kind of on the same page. We're on the same page. We're having similar feels. There's some dissonance there about what you're feeling. I'm able to sort of create or sort of push people into spaces of emotionality. So that is an amazingly intense and fragile moment. So when collectively, between the storytellers and the audience, when we're able to suspend our disbelief and all be in that same space of emotion, it's also incredibly fragile. So when something alien happens, like a sound that is not a part of what we accept to be a part of this emotional moment,
mhm.
because I would say, if anything, those emotional moments, the sound that you're experiencing is silence, or you're internalized, like it's insular, right?
Mhm.
And an alien sound like a phone is the front end of just the air kind of coming out of that moment. On one hand, it's the exact thing you need in order to feel relief, which we do. That moment where you're so angry, so upset, and someone cracks a joke. You might be upset at the joke, but you're happy that you laughed and you're like, you unburden yourself, right? You disassociate from that state. I will say, from a storyteller's point of view, I was not ready to let the audience disassociate. I wanted them to stay there, right there with me through those last 2 minutes. The phone was the beginning of that. It was very loud too. It was, I think, someone right in the front row. Again, it happens. Um, what complicated it and sort of further you feel that moment kind of floating away from you, that moment, it's just like, no, was the first night was an individual just like, I'm so they started talking in the audience. So much like, when we're talking about some of the stuff that could fall off stage today,
Mhm.
at any time, you choose who you are. You choose who you are. Now that individual, I'm going to imagine that was embarrassing, that this person, did not want their phone to go off in this way. But it was fascinating that the nervous reaction energy was for them to start talking in the audience.
Mm.
Because for me, I think I don't know if I would, I don't know. I don't know if I would feel compelled to start talking. I'd probably try and grab my phone and just run out. Like I would just run. So you just hear the phone ringing as it goes out the door, like into the lobby.
Mhm.
I don't think I would have initiated a conversation with the whole audience. So that was the first night. The second night, so second night, it didn't happen at an emotional point. It was at a bit of a pivot point, but apparently last night it happened twice. I didn't hear this. I didn't hear two. I only heard one of them,
Mm.
but apparently there were two phones last night. Um,
Wow.
yeah. So live theater, bro. Like this is live theater, or that this is the complication, the possibilities of live theater. So yeah,
Maybe both of those people or those 3 people were doctors. Is there a
could
doctor in
be.
the house? I don't
Is
know.
there? Yeah, they got to go deal. Could be.
I
Could
don't know.
be.
But it's cool that, it happens to you, so you just kind of it's like just part of your experience now. It has happened, and it can happen, and it's not a big deal. We just keep going.
This is what we were taught when Luke and I were walking home. We said, is this the necessary kind of punch in the face? Like you need to take the punch just so you know what it
Mm.
actually feels like.
Mhm,
So we were kind
mhm,
of likening it to taking martial arts, or my character in the play talks about boxing. So I think that's what I was kind of tapping
mm,
into. That you need to, because it's not the actual punch that well, the punch is a problem, but the punch is not the primary problem. The fear of the punch is the primary problem, and that's the thing that will make you less brave, less risk tolerant. So I said, now that we've had it, we've taken a punch. When it happened the second night, eh, do I like it? No. I mean, I'm not gonna um I'm not looking forward to or expecting or let's say appreciating that happens. But now that it has, and we finished the show, people clapped, a couple hoots. The crew has said, "Good show, good for you for making it through that." Some people said, "Oh, I don't know what I would have done if that happened to me." Like those are all kind of like give you some slight, you're checking the wind. Like, okay, I did it right. I played that one right according to random barometers that I had no clue about before the actual moment happened. So much like even taking a chance on this play, which is a far more bigger picture, the punch of taking the play has been cool learning too. I've proven to myself, I have evidence that I can still do this type of thing. And now that, phones have rung during the performance and we've still finished the performance and delivered, like that's another piece of evidence that um there's no fear. Like there's no fear around that happening. And it's not like, okay, so my last thing on this is it's an interesting meditation on how fear can keep us from learning new things. Because there's another space where that exact possibility could keep me from wanting to perform if I really did reinforce that belief that what's keeping me from doing performance is the fear of someone interrupting me. um I don't have that connection to the moment anymore. It severed it. So
cool.
I like that. I like that I had that experience, even though it's I'm not trying to make like overly positive um feels about this. I'm having genuine positive reaction to the fact that phones have gone off both nights. The other cool thing is I realize it's not about me. Like that's I still did what I had to do. I still delivered. I performed. I did my thing. I do truly believe it's probably far worse for that individual and others that were maybe beside them. Like I said, I did the work to get back into character. I'm sure there was somebody else in the audience that thought I paid good money for this, and that person didn't turn off their mobile phone.
Well, good luck today. Good luck tomorrow.
Thanks, man.
Um, have fun. Enjoy the time because it'll be gone soon.
That's exactly how I'm kind of processing through this. Um, just an appreciation of being able to sort of be in that space. And then, yeah, you're right. It's this ain't forever, nor should it be, but this ain't forever, this particular bunch of feels. So keeping close scrutiny on them and allowing them to kind of that perforation, like just letting them in. I'm digging it. I'm digging it.
Can we check out your art before we punch out? It looks like grass. Is it grass? Or yes,
Yeah, a little
grasses.
bit.
Oh,
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. Yeah, I
what
would
else?
say.
What else is it, Chris?
I don't know. I guess I've done a similar picture before. I feel like it's funny. I go back to this idea of being in the weeds.
Being in the weeds. Okay.
Yeah. But again, trying to each time I do, it's funny, each time I do, this particular picture, and I've done it with the lines and kind of done the scribble before. And like I'm using similar tactics on it.
Hmm.
I tried using different colors and slightly different textures. There's a little bit of watercolor uh smearing in there as well because I was using watercolor pencil crayons. So switching it up, trying to find a new perspective, a new way to represent something the same.
So now we have three possible titles for this episode.
Mm,
And it's awesome because the first two, any listeners won't know because we talked about them on the off ramp. And then the third one is what just came up. So number one, number one is smoking with my dad,
mhm.
which people who are just listening now are like, what? Number
Yeah,
two is Clough's crap. And then number three is being in the weeds.
yeah.
So before we go, though, Ramona decided to grace us with her presence. She tuned in late,
Ramona!
wishing us a great week. She probably, well, either she was cooking up a storm. She couldn't listen to us, or uh, she was dealing with our marketing department
Yeah,
to figure things out for us. And then she says she hopes her lateness doesn't tarnish her Gold Star membership status. No, the fact that you still come and hang out is Gold Star worthy for sure.
it is true. Plus, we allow for the one late thing, right? That's all part of the membership. One late attendee moment um before low polish.
Before what happens?
Yeah, before well,
She'll drop to
let,
silver
let's get to
status.
let's get back to legal and figure that one out. And now it's just pure threat. Just let the threat hang there. It's a threat. It's a threat. Don't do it again. But you're fine to do it this time.
Don't do it again. I love
Mhm.
it.
Yeah.
Okay, well, this has been season 5, episode 32 on paper. Really, we should be calling it episode 33 because of the talk we had before, but it's all good. Tomorrow's
Mhm.
Mother's Day, so to all the moms out there, or mother figures, or anybody who does the work of a mom or
Mothering.
mothering,
Mhm.
um, happy Mother's Day.
Absolutely, bro. Have a fantastic busy day.
Same to you, dude. Same to you. See ya.
Thanks.